Hello, friends, and welcome to a stately stream. This is where we share all sorts of cool things with you. There's not really any rules. This is something that David came up with earlier today after seeing a really cool little UI animation, and we thought it might be fun to model it.
Yeah. So, just a quick introduction. I'm David K, founder at Stately. We have
Oh
Laura
yeah,
too.
and I'm Laura too. Yeah, usually we do intros. I was going very casual, wasn't I? Yeah, I'm Laura. I do education, advocacy, that kind of stuff for Stately.
Wearer of many hats. And today we are going to figure out if we want to delete this video. So I have the most amazing UI in the world for this. Do you want to delete this video? And thankfully, this button doesn't really do anything right now. So first, I want to talk a little bit about inspiration from where this came from. I saw a tweet last week from Kenzie Dodds. Says this is a pretty handy feature that's built into the Epic stack. And what it is, it's a delete button, which I'm sure that you all have seen before, where you click delete and then it asks you, are you sure? And so this is a really great safety mechanism, because maybe you click delete and you're like, you know what? I really didn't want to delete that. So it's just a good, fallback. And so I replied here, urge to state machinify, it intensifies, just because, of course, this is a simple interaction, and I'll go ahead and show you the code. But also, I think that it's one of those that could even be made better with a state machine. And by better, I'm not just talking about from the developer experience perspective, but also from what you provide to the user and the kinds of features and affordances that the user has. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But first, I'll show you the code, the original code that is in Kenzie Dodd's Epic stack. It's called use double check, and it's a hook with a Boolean. So this is double check, set double check. And you could think of this as basically a finite state where you're either not double checking or you're double checking. But as we all know, there's more to it than that. There is, what happens after you double check, right? That state isn't really represented. So this sort of has the same problems as doing something like is loading. Because is loading true? We know what that means. But is loading false? What does that mean? It can mean we didn't load yet. We successfully loaded. We could have tried loading, but there's an error. There's just a lot of things that it could mean. But anyway, this is a pretty simple hook. It provides us on blur and on click. And I just want to show this, just as a reference for what we're working with here. They're using that hook in that button, but we're going to just add the logic directly to the button, and maybe we'll hookify it when we're done. Eric mentioned we could just use window.confirm. Old school, yeah. That's that is a really easy way to do it. But yeah, so let's say we get started, right?
Fabulous.
All right. So I'm gonna go straight to state.new. And this is also a good opportunity to say that we've updated our interface a lot. So the machines, might look a little bit nicer now. Just zoom in a bit, trying to get a good shot there. But yeah, this is our new interface, and we even have colors. So when designing this, I don't really think in Booleans, do you?
No,
Yeah.
especially when it's something UI related like this.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's call this delete flow. And I guess we could start with, idle, right? And then let's say that the user presses delete. So delete, and then we have this here, confirm. And then what could happen here in confirm? See, I guess that they could actually confirm. So let's put confirm over here. And then I'm just going to have this deleting state right here. Here's something that actually struck me as interesting about this. When you click delete, it asks you, are you sure? But you only have one option, which is to delete. You can't really say, like, actually, I'm not sure. But you know what, let's just add that back into here too. So oops, wrong one. And so cancel, because you could either confirm or you could have it canceled, and then it could be deleting. And I think that that flow looks pretty good, pretty reasonable, right?
Yep, I think that looks good to me.
Hmm. Let's add a little
Nice.
bit of color. So this is sort of our like, are you sure you want to? And then when we click here, then we are actually um, deleting it. Uh, okay, so I'm just going to grab some code from here, and we are actually going to use XState v5 beta for this. We could just
That's
copy
new
the
in the
code.
studio as well.
Yeah. So all you have to do is toggle this. Now, keep in mind that this is an experimental feature. So, yeah, if you see any bugs or whatever, it should, mostly work. But as X8v5 is in beta, we do expect as X8v5 beta gets developed, some things might lag a little, not lag in terms of performance, but in terms of features as we add them to the studio. But we're, working on doing that as quickly as we can.
It's
Okay,
a beta feature for XState v5 beta.
yes, it's a beta feature. Okay, so now that you have your code over here, let's actually talk about how do we get this logic that we spent so long making. Actually, it only took us a few seconds or so. Let's see how we actually get that into an app. So I have two dependencies over here: XState beta and XState React beta. So first, I am going to import create machine from XState. And actually, I believe it's already, oh yeah, it's already from the exported code. So I don't really need to do anything over there. And then in order to integrate with XState React, I have to import um, use machine, sorry, from XState React. So let's go ahead and save this. And I'm just going to pull it into here, use an implicit type return and say const state send equals use machine. And then we could use the machine that we created directly in here. So the event that we're sending is delete, and it's going to go to confirm. So what I'm going to do just to just to make things simple is actually I'll do it over here. Let's just log the states. Like let's keep it super simple. H3 and then button. We're going to say on click equals, and we are going to send type delete. Now, just a reminder, in XState version 5, you have to send event objects, and that just makes the type simpler, and it makes your code base more consistent, and it makes it a lot easier to add some params if you want to your events or some payload. Okay, so we see now that the state isn't idle. And Laura, is that big enough? Should I make it bigger?
It looks pretty big to me, but we can a little touch bigger will help. Yeah.
Let's even
Delete text
go
pretty small. Yeah.
even 28. Could make for some good thumbnails. Uh, so if I click delete, we see that we're in confirm. So let's say that we actually wanted the same event to just to be there. I mean, we could do something like I'm just going to copy paste this button and say yes, really delete for sure or whatever, and then this could be our confirm button. Looks a little weird. Big old line break.
Great, really modern HTML.
Yeah, exactly. And so what's interesting about this is that, we have these two buttons on screen, which ideally you won't be doing in your code base. But if I click yes, really delete for sure, which I promise you, I'm trying to click that, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to change that state because when we send confirm, that is only going to take effect if we're in the confirm state. So let's get to that state. If we click delete, then confirm, then we get to the deleting state. So, we have everything that we need. So yeah, let's actually conditionally show these buttons just because ideally you don't want to show this in your UI. So we could say here state.matches idle. and just conditionally render that. And of course, there's a few techniques for this. If you know XState, then you know you could use state.can, state.has tag, state.can, etc. And this is state.matches confirm. By the way, in XState version 5, we are going to be adding strongly typed support for these state values, whether they're strings or objects. So that's coming pretty soon too. Okay, so now when we click delete, now we're in the confirm state. And then, we see that we're deleting. So all good here. I would say that's it with the stream, but I think we could add a few more things.
Oh, I'm sure we could.
Yeah.
We've funny that Eric bets that the toggle that we have inside of the studio for V5 beta is a Boolean. I'm not sure actually. If only Fazal was here, he was going to be here. I think he's got caught up working on in fact, another toggle somewhere else. We could have asked him.
Right, yeah.
And I'm enjoying the CSS suggestions here for how to make your buttons work. Floating left, using genuine vanilla CSS. Yeah, we've got CSS fans here today.
Yeah.
Needs confetti. That might be tricky. Or implementing no, not sure.
Oh, I like that. I like that actually. In fact, I'm going to say color. Whatever. Let's just call this. Oh yeah. You know what? I'm gonna do this just because I want
CSS.
Yep, just adding a little bit of modern CSS. Okay, so yeah, someone did mention that we do need that no, I am not sure thing. So what was this again? Cancel? Yeah, cancel. So cancel. Not really. And then what we could do is we could just set this style variable and make this, I don't know, blue or something.
Nice.
Yeah. So let's retry this. And now absolutely nothing shows. Did I do something wrong? Oh, I'm not adding the, well, actually, let's see. Background there, red. Huh. Oh.
Oh, color. Yeah, I'll do it.
I was like, where's my button? So, those parentheses.
They're in brackets.
That'll get you. Okay, so we click delete, and then it's like, yes, delete for sure, or not really. But if I click not really, then it takes you back to delete, which makes sense. Now, something that I mentioned to Laura before the show is that as a user, like sometimes I like to rage click stuff. So if I'm like, yes, delete, and I'm like double clicking, all right, then it's deleting. And then maybe in my fit of rage, I might have been too hasty with wanting to delete. So I might want to, just give it a little bit of a timeout. So this is something that we could also model as well. So we have confirm, and I am actually going to go ahead and let's add some features. Let's make a child state. So let's say wait, and this is going to be after. And let's give it like, well, what's a good time period for them to really sit and think about the decision they're about to make?
Maybe a few seconds.
Sure. I'm going to say 2. And if you hover over there, you could see it's really small, but it says 2 seconds. And then we're going to say can confirm, and only in this state can you actually confirm. So we'll move it over there. So we're changing the logic a little bit, but now the idea is that when you click delete, you can't really do anything except cancel until after 2 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and copy. Let's get V5 beta again.
Eric has suggested, or don't render confirm button in the same place as delete button, but then we couldn't have a cool timeout, Eric.
Yeah, so we do want that cool timeout. Okay, it did give us a few more things, but we could just delete those. Again, this is experimental. And you're going to actually see that something is broken. It says objects are not valid as of React child. And so that's why, so we have state.value. Let's just call it a state.toString. Actually, JSON.stringify state.value. Make it nice and easy. And this is so that you could actually see the nested states. So if we click delete, then we're in confirm wait, and then you see that it, after 2 seconds, goes to confirm can confirm. So if I double click or quadruple click, nothing happens until I could actually confirm. And so this is good from a safety perspective, but from a UI perspective, it, you know, you're showing a button that really you can't click, which isn't very nice. So let's actually disable that button. I just want to see what this looks like. So if I click, okay, so disable doesn't even really show anything.
It won't render differently because you're already overriding the browser styles, I think.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I have appearance none, etc. So I know this is like just very lazy, but I'm just gonna add opacity.
Make it background gray as well.
Okay, background gray, and this is like the ugliest gray, but it works. It works. And it's showing disabled because I manually disabled it. But what we really want to do, and this is actually where XState gets pretty cool, because we don't want to deal with timings and stuff like that. That gets really complicated. You have to bring in use effect. But what we really want to say is that this button should be disabled if you shouldn't be able to confirm, or at least visually disabled. So all I have to do is state. If the state cannot be confirmed, or sorry, what am I trying to say? If you cannot send the confirm event, then it should be visually disabled. So if I click here, then it shows red after a while.
Nice.
And we have the deleting flow. So yeah, and then of course, even though we're still waiting, we could click back and then just yes, really delete for sure. Yeah.
Great. We have lots of suggestions for basically
Sure.
how to improve our UI, such as having not deleted and have a confirm button not under the mouse where the delete button was clicked, which is a better UI design for sure. Implementing undo, where you wait for 200 milliseconds before actually deleting. Or we could flip it on its head and make it a cat and mouse game with the confirm delete button.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting question. The undo is a nice step moving forward. By the way, I'm wondering if there is a better name for idle. Is it a standard now? Sometimes I feel that it's a weird naming. And it's true, a lot of the time we tend to start our state machines with idle because it's a great sort of catch-all term for nothing's happening yet.
Yeah, and Eric says that he likes idle. He said,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, like he says, I like idle. It means nothing is happening right now. Honestly, it is force of habit. You could also just name it whatever you want. So we have, when I was doing the serverless workflow examples with Gavin, and you could check out that that was a previous stream that we did. I gave it the name of start because your starts, you could either kick off the workflow, or you could be waiting for an event or waiting for something to happen. And so start is also a good name too. So you could do start, pending, idle. Just describe what is what is happening in that initial state. So
yeah, it kind of depends on your machine, really, what the purpose is.
Yeah. While we're here, I actually really like Eric's suggestion, and I think that we should do it where it's like sort of an optimistic UI, right? So I'm going to call this grace period. So when you enter deleting, you start in this grace period, and then let's give it, another like after. Let's do another 2 seconds. Whoa, that's way too long. So this is going to be after 2 seconds, and then this is actually deleting. And just to get even fancier, I want to add an invoke in here. And this is cool. Before, we had to open the details panel, add it in there. Oops. But now we could actually just, or not even right click the plus here, add an invoke actor, and delete item. And there we go. So this is so much easier than, than opening the deletion panel. And so we have that invoke over there. And so we know that deletion is not actually going to happen until we're right here. So what this means is that we could cancel. So I'm just going to, where should it go? Should it go to confirm or start? Like
I
if we
think
decide,
probably starts, yeah.
okay, if I could just add cancel there. All right, so let me just simulate this to get
Otherwise,
an
you'll be
idea.
stuck in a confirming loop forever.
Oh yeah, that's true. So after 2 seconds, we go to can confirm, and then we could confirm this, and then oh, so I guess you could, yeah. I'm glad I simulated that because you should only be able to cancel when you're in that grace period. Of course, when you're deleting, then it's too late. Can't really can't really do anything about that. So, and then Eric also mentioned that we should, and it gives a little bit of a weird ID, but that's we'll just give it the same ID as that. And then this is deleted. And this is a final state. Okay, so I think this logic looks pretty good. I'm gonna copy it again. And by the way, if you're using the VS Code extension, and we will be updating the extension eventually, you shouldn't have to copy and paste the code back and forth. This is just for demonstration purposes. So, yeah. Okay, so did I mess up my CSS again? Oh, you know what? We called it start. That's why.
Yeah, should be renaming it.
Yep. Okay.
PGCL suggests null. That's a kind of old school way of naming it, I suppose. But
No.
it would work. Null.
Hmm. Oh, for the not doing anything state.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I like start, idle, stuff like that. Okay, so now we actually want to do that grace period. And so looking at this again, just to get an idea of what we need, we have this flow mapped out. So once we confirm, we get to deleting, and then we have actually deleting, but I do want to show this cancel button, which I think we already have a cancel button. Oh, yeah. So you know what? I'm just going to add this directly to here. So it's not going to be conditionally rendered. And this is just going to be our global cancel button. And it's only going to be visible when state.can send the event type cancel. So it makes sense. Whenever you could cancel, show the cancel button. Okay, so let's delete. And we see that we have the cancel button over there. So we could delete for sure. And then we could cancel. And then we go to start. So now we have that optimistic UI. I'm not sure if that's exactly what Eric was thinking. Now that I think about it, maybe we actually wanted to do some sort of like an undo sort of thing. But that's okay.
So deleting it and then potentially undoing your deleting. Yeah.
Right. Oh, well,
That's another way of doing it.
yeah. And, we could always just say, like, if state dot matches deleting, h2, style equals color. Oh wait, I forgot you can't do that in React, which is a little silly. But your file or your video has been deleted in quotes. You have to put it in quotes for legal reasons because it might not actually be deleted. So delete. Your video has been deleted. And then, this could be cancel or undo just based on the state. So in fact, we could even say, like we could call this undo and then we could rename it, but I think that's fine for now. Cancel or undo. Just being lazy at this point. So yes, really delete for sure. And then you're going to see that it's actually going to disappear once it's really been deleted. Yeah, or once it's actually deleting. So it's actually hitting the server and then it deletes. Uh
So this is a good point to address just what Dave is asking is then a not deleted final state? And John to that said, a deleted state is kind of the same as returning to idle unless it's just a temporary state for showing a confirmation message. And I think that's kind of what we're going for here, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. So what's cool is that the editor does, when it exports the code, it does actually implement. In fact, it does it in the V5 way. It gives you like a little starter implementation for delete items. So it reminds you like, hey, if you want to actually implement this, here you go. I'm actually going to use a newer feature called from promise, and it's not importing for whatever reason. So from promise, and we are going to make sort of a fake deletion flow. So this is async, and then you could put whatever logic in the world you want over here. I'm going to just await new promise, timeouts, res, whatever. And then after 1 second, we'll actually delete. I think this works, except it's yelling at me. Uh, something. And so this now will actually transition. So we delete, we wait 2 seconds to be really sure that we want to delete. And then we have the grace period. It's actually deleting. And after 1 second, now we've reached that final deleted state. Now, as Martin or sorry, John, as John mentioned, um, really when it's deleted, you do return to an idle state, but sometimes you want to show that something has actually been deleted. So what I would do, and the way that I would model that is I would say like, we have this start or idle state, but this could be, just our default, which is just our initial state, or we could have a child state here that just says deleted. And this is how I like to model things too. Um, where, all right, so we have this final state of deleted, and then once this state is done, we could just transition to there. And I can mark this as states done. So this just says on done. And so when we're done, so just to simulate this and show what's going on, we click delete. After 2 seconds, I could confirm. And then it's deleting. We have a grace period. And then once this is done, you're going to see that it takes us back to the start, but in a child state of start, which is deleted. So yeah, grab this from my logic. And actually, I don't want to copy the entire thing just because we have some implementation. So I am just going to copy the logic parts of it. So just not the actions.
Is there a benefit to having two deleted states there?
Uh, so
Would it make sense to simplify it and just have one delete, like the undone returning back to the deleted state in the initial state?
so you're saying,
Because you've got a deleted final state there.
yeah. So this is just it's a I would say it's like a more robust way to model because we're basically saying that we have a deletion here, right? Or sorry, some sort of deletion task. And from the outside, like if we zoom out to the machine level, we're actually not supposed to care like, which state this is in, etc. We're just supposed to care that whatever task is happening in this state, once it's done, take us back to start and delete it. Actually, you know what? You may be right because I was going to say if this fails to delete, then the state should be done anyway and it should kick us back to start. But yeah, let's try what you're saying, simplify this a little bit, and let's move this to deleted. And you'll see that we have a nice little thing telling us that this state is unreachable. Not sure if you could read that, but it says unreachable. So we could go ahead and delete that because it's not going to do anything. And we should have a warning here too, because this state could never be done. There's no final state, but we could delete that transition as well. So now we could copy that logic over. Oops, skip V5. And we could bring it in. Oh, start. Yes, really delete for sure. Your video has been deleted. It's actually deleting. And now we go directly to the start.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't be able to delete when it's been deleted as well.
Oh yeah, that's true. Um, let's see. I guess one other thing just to show another feature that I wanted to add is sometimes you have deletion flows where you have this input and it's like, please type the name. They are really, really annoying to do. I just end up copy pasting in there. But it's something that you might want to do. So it might be worth modeling. So in the confirmation step, the way we could model that is really what you're trying to say is you should confirm only if something is true. So that something is text matches. I don't know. I don't know what to call that. Um, and you should also be able to update the text somewhere. So I'm just going to do a self event over here. And let's just call this update text. So yeah, we have update text and an action. And I'm actually going to make this an assign action. This is in another experimental feature, but we're going to assign the value. And we don't know what this is going to be yet, so I'm just going to leave it blank, and we're going to fill this in later. In the future, you're going to be able to do this completely from the editor itself, but this is just a nice placeholder, and it gets us most of the way there. So if we go to
And you
execute,
can use a whole bunch of the built-in actions that are in XState there. There's a number for you to choose from. So if you want to log, stuff like that, you
oh
can now
yeah,
do it all inside of there.
so I could actually, where is that actually? There we go. Yep, we have assign, custom. Oh, you can't actually see the drop
It's
down.
it's that annoying thing where screen
Yeah.
recorders don't show the contents of a drop-down menu.
Yep. But I'll read it. Custom assign action, raise action, log action, send to action, and stop action, and maybe some more in the future. So yeah, let's bring that into here. Okay. Now it says assign is not defined, and that's because I didn't copy it all. So I just have to import that from XState. And it also gives us a context object. So I'm going to say the value is empty. And yeah, so now we just need to implement that. Oh yeah, so we have this assign value, fill this in later. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab that from the events. And this is just going to be the events dot value. We don't need this internal true. In fact, we do have a fix because in X8 v5 it's not internal, it is re-enter. So now we're saying when we update the text, only in that state can the value be entered. And I actually forgot to add a guard, but I will just add it manually here because sometimes you do have to go into the code. So can confirm. Oh, wait, just kidding. We did add the guard. So I'm just going to put the guard here. Text matches. And right now we'll just say it's false. So now we actually have to add an input. So let's see. Yes, really delete for sure. And yeah, we could just add an input right here. Input type equals text on change equals event. And we are just going to send type. And then this is going to be update text. And the value is going to be event.target.value. Let's see. And the placeholder is going to be type something or type.
I'm not going to be overly pedantic here about this, but we should be using labels instead of placeholders. It's that classic accessibility issue.
Okay.
Nice.
And then I am going to, what I learned too is that placeholder should be example values. They shouldn't be labels. So
exactly that.
Yeah. Let me just make sure that, because I know this will be a problem, the font size should inherit from the body. Otherwise, it's going to be really, really tiny. So we delete, and then it says type onomatopoeia to confirm. And so
good luck with that.
yeah. So right now our guard is just text matches false. but we could read the context from here. And so we want to make sure that the context.value is onomatopoeia. Okay. Delete onomato. There we go. And so now we could actually delete. And you see that the button, we did not add any extra code for this. The button actually re-enables once once the text matches. And so we could really delete it for sure. And yeah, let's undo that. Auto and then let's actually go through the full deletion flow. Now it's actually deleting, and then it's deleted.
Very nice. Now we have some scope creep going on in the comments, but we do actually have a good question from Alex, and it's, what happens if actually deleting fails?
So that's an exercise left to the reader, but I was actually talking about this with Gavin, where when you're creating a visual diagram and you look at this from a bird's eye view, you might see like, okay, we're invoking something. Oops, we're invoking something. In this case, this delete item, and we have this nice green done transition from it. But it's really easy to point out like, hey, what happens if this fails? Like there's no matching error. And so after looking at lots of state charts, you're like, hey, there's only one transition here. There should really be two. We should, be able to model that something actually failed, such as this error delete item deleting failed. And so, yeah. Actually, what we could do is, we could have a retry, but I don't want to add UI for that. I actually want to we're getting really into the new features of the editor, but it's really, really fun. So when deleting failed, actually I want to retry, or I want to automatically retry after some time. I was gonna raise an action, but you really don't need to. What we could do is just say after 500 milliseconds, or yeah, after 500 milliseconds, we'll just try again. But yeah, so that could be your example deletion failed flow. And so if I were to copy this code, or just the logic parts of it, then we could actually model what happens if deletion fails. And it should automatically retry. I did it really quickly, so I'm not sure if we could, yeah, not sure if it'll actually work, but I'm pretty sure. So if math.random is less than 0.5, then resolve, else we don't have a reject. So reject. Okay, so let's actually give it a very low chance of succeeding. When we click delete, I hate myself for doing this. Did I even spell that
It's
right?
fun to watch though. Oh, I think you did. Onomatopoeia. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's yeah.
Oh, it's because you. Is it because you've not? It's the
I've
bug.
accidentally undone the. No, it's not a bug. I actually accidentally inside. Yeah, I did this. So don't worry. Event.target. Or sorry, just event.value. Okay. Onomatopoeia. Oh yes, we need this too. Value. Oh, I forgot about the 2-second delay. Your video has been deleted, actually deleting, and then we have deleting failed. Oh, this is fun. So it's trying to delete. So you have very, very basic retry, and eventually we do hit that, that 10% chance of it succeeding, and now it's deleted. So that was fun. Yeah. So I think that's a good place for us to stop. Essentially, we made a nice, complex, incidentally complex, not accidentally complex, but a good deletion flow. And we see clearly with the colors here what can happen. Like if you zoom out a bit, you see that we have 3 sections. We have start, which let's give this just like a nice neutral blue. And we I'm going to model the deletion states as red, or like the, we have the confirm, And then we have deleting. And we see that we could go back and forth between these three. I could probably reorder this, make it a little bit nicer. I wonder what auto layout will do. Okay, it's a little bit more confusing, but it's okay. So we have
But
start.
a relevant question to that is it possible that IA can make auto layout perfect? I
Um,
think AI, I think we mean there.
yeah, I actually learned that in different countries it's either IA or AI.
Huh, that is
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So I've actually been experimenting with this, and so the long story short is no, this goes beyond the capabilities of AI, sort of. But there are algorithms that we could use that actually makes this layout a little bit nicer. So using heuristics and stuff. So you could think of it as hard coded AI. But in the future, we are going to be improving this auto layout.
Yeah, there's a such a range that's kind of also subjective in what your idea of a perfect layout is as well. But yeah, generally getting things to avoid each other is a useful one. As little overlapping as possible, I suppose, because sometimes some people I prefer to have my initial state in the top left a lot of the time. You might want your self transitions to all be, I don't know, if you've got a lot of self transitions on your root state, you might like to have them all along the top or along the side
Mhm.
or along the bottom. You might like to have your transitions or events close to their source state or close to their target state. There's a lot of variability in what people prefer there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, lots of comments here.
Sean said, would be great to get some server-side examples. And John, as John kindly answered, there's a big list of server examples that Laura has a link to.
Mhm.
Yeah, Laura does have a link to that. This is a very vague link, but you can go to stately.ai/blog, and one of our recent blog posts on there has a list of all of the server-side examples that David can show you in the XState repository as well.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of examples here, and Gavin and I just mostly finished up the latest server side example. And by server side, these are examples that run directly on Node, like it's not attached to a UI, and they represent server side workflows. They're pulled directly from the serverless workflow specification examples by the CNCF or Cloud Native Computing Foundation. And they're basically one-to-one translations of what they have in their serverless workflow specification to XState. We are going to be having more examples in the future where you could model things like being able to run these in a Lambda or a Cloudflare worker or things like that. And it's actually pretty simple to do. One of our ultimate goals is for you to just be able to hop into the editor, take a workflow like this, or maybe not exactly this, because this is more of a UI based workflow, and just deploy it anywhere you want.
It's going to be
So,
really cool. And soon enough, we'll also have all of these examples in the studio so you can find them in Discover. And there'll be a nice starting point because I think they're really great examples of state machines in themselves as well.
mhm.
And I've been having fun playing with them, laying them out and learning more about how they all work. It's
I
a
saw that.
nice
Yeah.
exercise.
Is that in Discover by chance or
That is a good question. I cannot for the life of me remember. I've been doing way too many different things over the last 2 weeks.
yeah. Well,
Oh no,
there's
there's some other interesting workflows in there.
yep, lots of workflows over here. But yeah. So I think that's a good starting point. And no, we are not going to delete this video. That was just to get you to watch this. So thank you everyone for watching. Gonna undo that before it actually deletes because it is actually hooked up to YouTube and it will delete the video if it goes through. Just kidding.
Thanks everyone for joining us. You'll be able to find this video at a later date. It will be archived on YouTube and linked in as well. In fact, I think it may even still be findable in a tweet sometime in the future. And if you want to keep up with when we're going to do these live streams, you're going to make sure that you're following us on one of our many social media platforms. We're Stately AI pretty much everywhere. You can find us on YouTube. If you subscribe, you'll be notified about upcoming live streams. You can find us on Discord. That is at discord.gg/xstate. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Mastodon, all of the platforms. So make sure that you keep up with us there. Oh, we just have one last question. Go on then, Sean, just to finish us off at the end, any plans to port this to other languages, including Golang?
Yeah, so right now, Stately does export to JavaScript, TypeScript, and also a basic form of the workflow, which is in JSON. Pretty soon, we're going to be exporting to other formats such as Mermaid. That's actually coming really soon. PlantUML, maybe SCXML for what we support in it, and a proprietary format in the future that we have, which is JSON. But you could take that, you could represent it and interpret it in any language that you want. One of our long-term goals is to actually port the interpreter, which is written in JavaScript and TypeScript, port that over to just whichever other language. I experimented with Python in the past and it works pretty well. But yeah, it's definitely possible, and we do definitely want to get there.
And if you want us to prioritize working on your language of choice, do let us know at feedback.stately.ai. We have already some feature requests for the languages there, so you can always upvote on those or add the one that you prefer. It's a great way for telling us what we should prioritize. We do pay attention to it, I promise.
Mhm.
Right, so on that note, I think that's the end. We've already done the wrap up. We don't need to do it twice. So thanks
Yes.
everyone for joining us. We appreciate you being here in the comments and asking your questions. We will catch you later.
Talk
Goodbye.
to you later. Bye.